As you have heard, over the last 2 years, the Phillies and Asplund have raised more than $1.5 million for the ALS cause. That money supports programs that benefit local ALS families. Here to talk about what that means for ALS patients and families, please welcome Bryan Rosica and his wife, Lisa. Bryan and Lisa.
My kids, who are absolutely adorable, saw me working feverishly last night to finish this speech. They could tell I was a little stressed and trying hard to stay calm as I worked to get my thoughts organized. So in an effort to settle my nerves and boost my confidence, they knew exactly what to say. God bless their little souls. It was just one simple, soothing little sentence. They said, "Dad, you've had like a couple months to prepare for this, so people are probably expecting you to totally crush this." That little nugget could not have been more helpful, and the exact little shot in the arm I needed. My kids always have their dad's back. I have a confession to make. My son Brandon escorted me down to today's event, and we almost arrived late because we got pulled over for speeding. I'm pretty embarrassed about it, so I would appreciate it if we keep this within our little group right here. My wife has one of those little dashboard cameras and actually caught a few seconds of footage. I thought you might be interested in seeing it, so I quickly inserted it into my presentation. Again, please keep this tight. I don't know. Looking at it from that angle, maybe we were going a little too fast. Hi everyone. My name is Bryan Rosica, and it is an absolute privilege to be here with you today. I had to cancel my 12 o'clock Pilates session, but that's okay because I'd much rather be hanging out with you guys. Just a little bit about me, my family, and my diagnosis. My wife Lisa and I live in Doylestown, along with our 3 kids. Prior to ALS, I lived an extremely active lifestyle. I quite literally never sat still. And then 5 years ago, when I was 48 years old, I began to have weakness in my tongue, causing me to slur my speech. My kids were 14, 18, and 20 at the time when I came home from the doctor's office and had to tell them their dad had ALS. At the time, I was an elementary school teacher and guidance counselor, and Lisa was a 5th grade school teacher. And I know this sounds weird, but I've had 5 years to process, debate with God, and maybe even make a little peace with my diagnosis. And if you're able to step back from the emotional aspect of ALS and look at the science behind the disease, and the amazing assistive technology available to people like me, it's really quite fascinating. So like it or not, For the next 3 minutes you're going to be a student in Mr. Rosica's school classroom learning about what it's like living with ALS. Boys and girls, believe it or not, there are over 7 trillion nerves in the human body. You can think of nerves as your body's electrical wiring. They carry signals between your brain and the muscles of your body. So when you want to pick up the remote control and chuck it at the TV because Kyle Schwarber just freaking struck out again, an electrical signal travels very quickly from your brain, through the nerves, and out to your hand muscles, causing your hand to reach for and pick up the TV remote. Since I have ALS, my brain still tries to send that signal to the muscles, but the nerves no longer work, so the muscles never get the message, and my hand won't reach for the remote. So all I can do is just stare at the TV and give Schwarber a really dirty look and hope he somehow senses my rage and disgust. People often want to know what ALS feels like. The easiest way for me to describe it to you is to imagine I asked you to sit as still as you possibly can, and not to make a single sound. Kinda like a snowman. Now imagine I snuck up behind you and pinched your skin really hard. Would you still feel it and want to smack the crap out of me? Of course you would. Then imagine I told you a very funny joke. Even though you couldn't laugh out loud, do you think you would still think it's funny in your brain? Of course you would. What if you were really hungry and I walked past you with a warm slice of your most favorite pizza? Would you get hangry? Of course you would. Having ALS is a lot like that. I still feel when people touch me, so hugs are the absolute best. I still think silly jokes are hysterical, and when I'm starving I still want to throw down a whole buffalo chicken hot wing pizza. I'm still the exact same person, only ALS has asked me to sit very still and be very quiet. For diseases like ALS, technology is hugely important. I have this absolutely amazing computer that speaks for me. I simply look at a keyboard on the screen. The computer follows the pupils of my eyes, and it selects the letters. It was not easy at first, but I stuck with it and I practiced for months, and right now Toby is set to give me just 1/3 of a second to find the letter I want. So by the time you can count to 1, I've already typed 3 letters. And just like your iPhone, it has word prediction built right in. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't be able to tell people when I'm hungry, or that I have an itch, or even to tell my kids I love them. And oh yeah, with a little help from AI, I was able to recover my actual voice. And just to clarify, I mean artificial intelligence. Allen Iverson had absolutely nothing to do with this. Are you ready to hear it? Okay, let's fire this bad boy up.
Oh man, there you go. That's so much better. My kids love hearing my real voice. For people living with ALS, technology is their best friend. As you probably know, Major League Baseball honors Lou Gehrig and raises awareness to ALS by having a special day in June every year at ballparks around the United States. In fact, a couple of years ago, I was lucky enough to be asked by the Phillies to come out onto the field for Lou Gehrig's day and throw out the first pitch. And guess who I got to throw it out to? None other than the Bryce Harper. My hand actually touched his, and I got some of his sweat on my hand. I'm never washing that hand again. Not ever. By the way, I wish I could say I was the star of the show, but that title definitely goes to my wife, who danced on the dugout with the Philly fanatic. The Phillies have absolutely set the gold standard for their commitment to raising awareness to ALS. They are first class through and through, and their relationship with ALS United Mid-Atlantic is critical for working towards a cure for those of us fighting right now, and those not yet diagnosed. Fortunately, ALS is an extremely rare disease, so most people don't know anyone personally who has it, and because of this, the amount of funding and attention that is given to ALS research is far less than other, more well-known diseases. And if not for organizations like the Philadelphia Phillies, or incredibly generous and compassionate companies like Asplund, we would be so much further behind. And to all of you in attendance, the best way to support ongoing research is by doing exactly what you are doing today, taking the time to learn about it so you can educate others. When you do, people are more likely to get involved by advocating for Congress to fully fund ALS research, donating to ALS programs, or just getting involved in their own special way. And finally, ALS has led me to discover the incredible beauty and power of human compassion and connection. Which one of you gathered here today is a testament to that. Thank you so much for coming out to this awesome celebration assembled by ALS United Mid-Atlantic. It is a symbol of our collective commitment to fighting ALS. Cheers, everyone.
Bryan, that was awesome. Lisa, that was awesome. Bryan and Lisa Rosica, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Bryan and Lisa, but certainly Bryan for that presentation. And we've all been involved with the ALS Association, but to hear Bryan put it in those words about what it is like to be him and to be most, if not all, ALS patients was spellbinding. And I don't know about you, but the moment I heard his real voice, oof, my goodness. And I just hope and pray that someday we get to hear him speak it from his own mouth again, because that was beautiful.